Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. Alright, guys, what a day. Alright, wild ups and downs. And at the end of the day, we made it up to new all-time highs. Alright, we talked about it yesterday, guys. VIX, we had to get the daily close above the daily 21 EMA. We did not get that. We ended up getting slammed. Okay. While we did go higher today, we did not get the daily close above. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rejections here at the daily 21 EMA. It is not ready to spike. Volatility is not ready for the big boy move. Ultimately, we do have to really get above 19.5 for that to happen anyway. But, you know, the next step here was the daily close above the 21 EMA. That did not happen. Instead, buying QQ in the after hours, you know, VIX closes 15 minutes after 4, so that daily candle reflects this start of the move. It does not reflect the move up to new highs though. Right, no, it does. It reflects the move up here. If we go higher tomorrow though, VIX will come lower. I still do think VIX has a shot at coming back down to this low. I don't know if it's going to go much lower than that, but I just want to say, guys, Microsoft and Meta, you know, AI. Quantum apparently is also going to be the next big thing. QBTS. Shout out to QBTS. I'll just give a shout out at the very start of the video here. Likely going to start going above 19. It really can start making way to the upside. Above 2056, 25 incoming. But, you know, earnings are being smashed right now, and you know, if you listen in on the calls, they are some of the most like, you can't get much more bullish than it. You really can't. You know, these guys are, yeah, I don't know how else to say it. They're extremely bullish about their companies, and you know, AI was really just the theme. You know, Meta's talking about super intelligence and how it wants to empower the individual user, and then you have Microsoft coming out of nowhere. All right, coming out of nowhere. Like, let's just come over these charts. What the heck is this? Coming out of nowhere with another massive freaking gap up. You got Meta with the same exact thing, completely flipped the script. You know, these things are ready to rip, guys. Apple, we have earnings coming up tomorrow after the close of your Apple, and then you have Amazon right underneath all-time highs. It's probably going to all-time highs tomorrow. It's popping up in the after hours with a God candle above 236. The thing has nothing until it takes out 242.52. It's likely going to take that out tomorrow. And at that point, you have a massive weekly candle here. You know, guys, Meta gives you a dip early on next week. You buy that thing. Okay. It's, I mean, you could do whatever you want, but it's probably going to be like that. If the thing ends up, let's just say it somehow gets a decent sized gap down. All right. You know, just like over here, it's probably something that will be bought. Regardless, what this means for NASDAQ and S&P 500, guys, is we're probably going to continue going higher for the time being. This weekly candle is no longer going to be a doji over here, okay? It is going to be expanding to the upside, and I imagine we're going to go a little bit higher than where we are right now tomorrow. You know, 575 is probably going to be tested tomorrow, and then above there, 580. This thing looks like a freaking monster, guys. I gave you 2 levels to pay attention to today on the downside for SPY and QQ, guys. SPYs? All right, you want to come see where SPY ended up holding today, guys? I told you, underneath 633.99, you had nothing till 631.54. That was likely going to be a quick move down there, guys. Do you want to see something pretty cool? Low of day, 631.54. Exactly down to our level, right when you got on in there. Straight up, got down there real freaking quick. Within, yeah, it looks like within 10 minutes, he got down there. Made a real quick 3-point move to the downside. Hope some of y'all made money off these things today. But, you know, now we can see buyers end up holding exactly where they had to, you know, hold over here on the 4-hour time frame, 633.99. Look, you did not have a 4-hour close underneath. The thing is now pushing up to new all-time highs as we speak. This thing looks like it's ready to erupt. All right, we are probably going to get, you know, another 4 to 5 points to the upside here. And at that point, we're at 642, 643. You know, this thing is going to do some cool things. This weekly candle is going to, you know, it's going to be a bullish candlestick at the end of the day. And we're probably going to get some expansion. You know, as of right now, we have a very narrow body if we open the weekly candle right here. But we, again, on the 4-hour and daily, we could see, yeah, above 638.67. We probably are going to go like 4 to 5 points, just like we did over here when we got up to new highs. We broke out from this over here. And yeah, again, 5 points within, 2 sessions of making that breakout over there. So we are definitely going to be looking for this move to continue here. VIX could take a chill pill. Maybe it comes back down to lows. Either way, SPY and QQ they're poised to continue, guys. They really are. All right, I'm going to be going over the indices here. We're going to go over the levels. We're going to go over the Mag 7 stocks. We're going to go over some trade ideas at the end of the video. We're going to have a good time. Tomorrow is going to be a sick, nasty freaking day, guys. I have a bunch of setups that I think are going to be exploding tomorrow, and I think it's going to be a real hot day. Okay? Okay? Yeah, it's going to be some good stuff, guys. It's going to be some good stuff. All right. So SPY, guys, on the upside above 638.67, we're talking 640, 642, 643, 645. On the downside, you're just watching 633.99. As long as you're holding 633.99, you're staying bullish on this market. We are likely having that next little leg up right now. Expect further upside. All right, that is SPY. Coming over here to QQQ, it's looking a little bit more crazy. All right, you're going to have a massive gap up tomorrow, guys. And, if we open up a new highs here on SPY and QQ, expect the opening dip. We are going to have probably a dip around the open if this 15-minute RSI, if we're opening up massively above these highs here. Yeah, expect the lower wick to form on that daily candle. We're probably going to come back and retest 572.11. I don't think we're going to come all the way back down and fill that gap, but that is what you're watching on the downside. You really just have 572.11 and 570.62 today's high. But again, just like SPY, you held exactly where you had to. 566.06 was the level I gave you yesterday. And as long as you were holding that, you're going up. Okay? But you lose that, you're going to fall off a freaking cliff. But guess what? You did not fall off the cliff. You're going freaking up. I'm hyped, dude. This got me hyped. This market is on fire right now, okay? It's boom, uncertainty. Oh, all of the bears are coming out. I'm telling you guys, you got to take things as you go. So over here on VIX, you had the 4-hour bullish divergence. You're at the lower trend line of that, falling wedge pattern. Okay, triple bullish divergence. That gives you a pop. Then the next thing you look for, can you break above the daily 21 EMA? No, we cannot. That means the volatile's probably not just going to keep spiking here. All right. And then SPY over here, you got to break certain levels to get the larger breakdowns. Okay. SPY had to break 533.99, 631.54. And then next stop was probably going to be 626.28. And then that's going to be right at the daily 21 EMA, guys. It's time frame to time frame. And if you broke the daily 21 EMA, then we would be watching the weekly 21, which at that point, maybe we even come all the way back down to previous all-time high 613.23. But that was not the case. It was not the case. Both stood up again. People are stepping in too early. Guys, please. You got the perma bears on your Twitter feed, on your YouTube feed. Get them out of there. They have been wrong every single time. We have been honestly right a lot of these times. Okay, but moving on. All right, downside. SPY 638.67, 633.99. QQQ downside 572.11, 576.2, 566.06. Upside, you're watching 575, 577, 580. Okay. And again, on VIX, guys, expect this thing to continue coming lower. It is very likely going to be the case after what happened into the close today. IWM, we know why the puts ended up, getting a little bit over here on IWM. It's looking a lot weaker than the rest of the market. FOMC was going to be that bearish catalyst over here because Papa Powell over here does not want to sweet talk the market. Definitely not. He wants to say all the wrong things. But guess what? The market is going to prevail. And, big tech earnings came around. The big boys, the things that lead the market, all right, they have spoken. And we're bullish for the time being. But yeah, really the themes of those earnings calls, guys, it was AI. It was AI. Everything else, everything else is good. It's on track. But, really that was the thing. And, honestly, my biggest takeaway is guess what? Quantum is going to be an AI-like theme that lasts months. It's going to be a really big theme. And I personally know this thing is set up to go. It's right on the 21 EMA today. You're bouncing back. If this thing does open up above today's high, you know, tomorrow 18.47. If it pushes over there and then gets above 19 bucks, the thing's going to start going up to 20 by Friday, and then probably going to get 22, 24. All right, but let's stay on track here, okay? DIA, it's right on the daily 21 EMA. Expect buyers to step in here, but if they take out today's low, it might be just showing that weakness, just like IWM. And next stop is going to be 438.70. All right, coming over here to the Mag 7 stocks, guys. Meta, on the upside, you have 800 bucks. So I'm going to tell you, I think it's going to continue pumping. I think we are going to hold this gap up we got going on here. We haven't really had one like that in a while. We really haven't. It's, you know, this is 400 bucks all the way to 460 over here. The last gap up like that to that magnitude was back here. And what happened? From that open, you went another 26 points, another 5 to 6% above there. Okay, so I do think this is probably something that will continue. And I do think if there's an opening dip there, I think it's something that gets bought. And that is Meta. Coming over here to Microsoft. All right, again, massive gap up there. At least it's, you know, if they did that tomorrow, if they reported earnings tomorrow after the close, guys, there will be a massive monthly gap open on this chart again. The second time in its history, because that just hasn't happened in its history. That's insane. That's absolutely freaking insane. But, you know, Microsoft, it's at 560 right now, guys. You're just watching the cycle level. It's 560, 565, 570, 580, 600. Do I think it's going right to 600? No. No, but it is currently up quite a bit over here. It's up 45 points. It's quite a bit. It's probably not going to start selling magically here. It could, but at this point, I'd say just let it rock. Stop trying to short the thing. You know, real talk, this market wants to run. It wants to. We had a bunch of uncertainty. Everybody started calling for these crazy 5 to 10% corrections here. And, you know, while I still think we probably do have a sell around the corner, now we kind of see that, yeah, the market is making new highs and we are going to be continuing higher, and it makes more sense that way. But yeah, over here, Amazon, guys, above 236 today. You have earnings tomorrow after the close. You're really just going to be watching those cycle levels above 236. You have 238, 240, 242, 52, 250. All right, but I think Amazon is probably going to be up to new all-time highs tomorrow. Next one, reporting earnings tomorrow, is going to be Apple. All these levels, they're not going to matter come tomorrow. You're either going to tank or you're going to rock it. I'm really not sure what's going to happen, but as of right now, you have been doing absolutely nothing but selling. Okay, 4-hour RSI is oversold. If it's going to be like Meta's, then it being oversold is going to give us a hint that we're going to be having that big move up. But, you know, at this point, I don't know if that is going to be happening. They are the only Mag 7 stock that's really going to be talking about these tariffs. You know, they are, yeah, we didn't hear anything about tariffs in Microsoft and Meta. That was actually changed from last quarter, guys. We did not hear anything about tariffs. Nothing. So that is a good thing. Good thing for the market. It's kind of trying to, you know, just price everything in. You know, market is just, yeah. All right. You know, the leaders of the market, they're kind of just coming to terms with it, accepting it. It's nothing has really changed. It's not a focus. Okay. And if they're not going to focus on it, then the broad market is probably not going to focus on it until Trump puts it back in the spotlight. But for now, it's not in the spotlight. Big tech earnings are the spotlight, and they're good. All right, but coming over here to NVIDIA, guys, popping up to a new high in the after hours, up to 183 right now. It's looking gnarly. All right, it is looking gnarly. I'm not really going to tell you, you know, I'm not going to tell you to chase this thing. I'm not going to tell you to short this thing. I really don't think it's a short as of right now. It'll show you when that is going to be the case, and it has a larger breakdown when that happens. But for the time being, I will just point out it's going to be getting extended, and once it gets, you know, extended on these big moves up, it typically will still grind higher. You know, over here grind higher for 3 sessions, over here grind higher for 3 sessions as well. But it is going to be that slow grind. So, you know, if you caught that move, that really is going to be the bulk of the move over here. So yeah, Theta Decay is going to be stepping in if you were trading options into end of week probably. But yeah, 185 might be hit tomorrow. That's NVIDIA. Google, guys, it's looking good, but just like Apple, you are going to move down in the after hours, whereas Meta and Microsoft are moving up. Underneath 195.28, you have 192.61, and then you have 187.36. On the upside, 198.16, 202.88. Okay, Tesla. All right, guys, I think we're going to be getting a big move soon. I think it might be in the upward direction. It's shaping up, but I am thinking it's getting pretty tight right now. So over the coming sessions, I am watching over here for a break above 330 and then 338. I know at that point it's all the way up here, but I'm telling you, it's safer to wait till it's up here than you trying to guess that it's going to be moving up down here. I know maybe that sounds backwards, but to me it does not. You know, it sounds better that way. But at that point, guys, above 338, 357.54, I'm just actually going to take that level off right there. 367.71. That's really what we're going to be looking at. Okay. Tesla. So that is that. Now into the trade ideas. Guys, I do think tomorrow is going to be a hot one. If you want to come trade with me, that link is down below. I'll be live every day. And as we go through earnings, I am going to be live streaming all of the earnings calls. So we're going to be getting... yeah, we're going to know what's going on before everybody else does over there with the earnings calls. And, you know, that's what I'm saying. I think quantum, it really is going to be an AI-like theme that is going to be sticking for a long time. You know, the only quantum name that really had a big pop over the last, you know, few weeks here was QS. But, you know, you got QUBT here. It's starting to bounce right off the weekly 21 EMA down here. It's a break and retest off 1468. You know, we'll see if this can flip the weekly candle green. Maybe we get a nice hammer candlestick going into next week. And maybe then we start getting back above 1738 and, yeah, start pushing towards 2174. But, you know, the big one is going to be QBTS over here. And this is just waiting to erupt, honestly. You know, I don't know if they're going to completely flip this weekly candle, but I'm pretty sure they are. That is the second largest company in the world. Just pumped quantum, just said it's the next biggest theme. It just said it, or they didn't say that. They said it's the next biggest thing, though. They said the thing. I'm saying it's the next biggest theme. You know, this thing already has had quite a few moves here, but I think the largest one is about to come about, and I think tens of billions of dollars is probably going to pour into these, you know, guys over the coming weeks and months. I think we probably can see, you know, some crazy shit over here and see 30 to 40 over here on QBTS. But in the short term, guys, let's talk about it. Once you're above today's high, 1847, we're talking 1895. You could get above 1895. You have 1977, 2056, and then you're targeting 22, 23, 24, 25. I do think we can go 30 plus. But we are going to have to see how things develop. This can be a multi-week move, as we've seen in the past. And yeah, we do have earnings next week as well. I do think we're going to start this move before earnings, though. Okay, so that is QBTS. Next one we have is Hood. Okay, guys, Hood is something that beat on earnings, but is, you know, down here in the dumps. Hasn't moved. It's not in the dumps, but it hasn't moved. All of the options are going to be crushed tomorrow. The premiums are going to be crushed if we have no movement off the open there, no gap up, no gap down. That's how that's going to go. If you can push through 107.42, I think this thing has a squeeze day. This weekly candle is very likely going to expand. It's a very baby candle right now. It's a very tiny baby candle. It's going to expand into a man candle. That it is, okay? Above 107.42, guys, we're talking 110.31, 113.44, and 115. Above there, 120. I do think it's possible to have a big day tomorrow over here on Hood, even though it has absolutely no movement off of earnings, okay? But they did beat. But yeah, above here, we can move above 113.44 by end of week. And I do think next week is probably going to be a big one as well at that point. But I do think just like this was getting ready for the breakout, I think we have another case of that where it's not going to be long until we're back up to those highs. VST, I gave this one to you yesterday, guys. It popped above 199.84. It went straight to 207.12. It's now at 210.50 in the after hours. Congrats if anybody ended up trading this one. This thing freaking exploded, all right? And I think it's about to actually go. But I was pointing out in yesterday's video as one that, you know, when this thing does break up here, it's going to have an explosive move. This thing has had, you know, a month and a half here of consolidation. it's going to have a move up to 220, 230 pretty quick. So, you know, hopefully some of you guys are taking advantage of this guy. It does have earnings next week, but yeah, this guy, I think, is probably going to, probably going to see 215, 220 tomorrow, in my personal opinion. Okay, that is VST. Oklo. All right, Oklo is one that ended up popping back up the highs today. I do think this is probably going to 80 to 85 tomorrow. More specifically, 83 to 85 tomorrow. All right, above 78.34. We're talking 80, 82, 84, 85. I do think 85 is where you want to draw that line there. But I do think this weekly candle is likely to flip green here tomorrow and start pushing. We know big moves are possible here. I am still thinking Oklo is going to be going 90 to 100 bucks, and I think it might be starting to get that movement going here out of this week-long range. Well, 4-day range now. All right, that is Oklo. SMCI gapping up towards today's high. It also started popping off today. 4-hour chart looks pretty sick over here. I do think this thing is about to start getting it going. This weekly candle actually might expand into one of those 30% weeks, and currently we're only up 11% on the week. Okay, if we are going to get, you know, one of these crazy 25-30% weeks, we're talking 67 bucks. It's on the table. It's completely possible, in my personal opinion. And yeah, we're going to see what we get. Okay, but above 62.47, we're talking 65, 67.10, and then 74.12. Big things are coming. Earnings are next week. HIMS. Congratulations if you caught the squeeze. HIMS did end up, it did exactly what we were hinting at yesterday, guys. This thing is ready to push all-time highs. Congrats if you are taking advantage of these moves. Like I said, guys, it is a hot freaking market right now. I think we're going to have some massive moves into the end of the week here. If you want to come take advantage of them with me, that link is going to be down below. You can use code HIMS for 50% off. Okay? All right. But real talk, guys, I do think HIMS is about to explode here, and I do think we're probably going to be getting a move up to 73 over the next week. I'm not going to say by Friday it can happen. But I am going to say you probably caught the bulk of the weekly move today if you caught that move with me. I do think this thing, though, you know, maybe even before earnings is going to get above 72.98. And I think this thing is getting ready for a move to 80 to 100 bucks. Real talk, we talked about these trending candlesticks once they start popping up on the weekly time frame, and they can span 25 to 50%. If this thing ends up closing out the week between 67.37 and it's 73 bucks, guys, real talk, it can go 20 to 30% next week, and that brings it up to 80 to 100 bucks. Like, yeah, 90 bucks right here, okay? That would be insane. It would be absolutely insane. I think it's completely on the table. I think this thing is ready to freaking rip over here. And yeah, I'm telling you, we got a hot ass market right now. And you know, if I had to pick a few tickers to focus on, which I'm picking the tickers right here. You know, I'm trying to say it in plain English here. All right, HIMS, you focus on HIMS. You focus on SMCI, Oklo, VST, Hood, QBTS. You're going to have a good time tomorrow. I don't think I mentioned Oklo today in this video, but since Microsoft is going and they are partnered with Oracle over here, guess what? That thing is deciding to go. It's currently at 256. All right. You have a massive move going on over here on Oracle. You're going to 260 tomorrow, ladies and gents. Get freaking ready. All right. Again, congrats if anybody took advantage of it. But this thing is looking like it is going to get up to 260 as soon as tomorrow. If it dips off of the open, guys, it is a buying opportunity. You can catch a 5-point move on weeklies, and you can be up 150 to 200%, depending how quick that move happens. That is something you are likely going to be able to take advantage of tomorrow because you are having one of these gap up days. As you see, breakout within one session. You gapped up, actually. It was a massive gap up. If you see that massive gap up and you're at 260, guys, please do not buy it. But I do think 261, 262 is incoming tomorrow. That is pretty much the minimum target I'm looking for on this move here. But yeah, you know, one breakout, 11.6 points. Second breakout, 977. All right, just about 10 points. And that is literally in one day of having the breakout from here to over here. And then you have third breakout. Guess what? All right, it was... It was right over here, and it was 10 points within one session. Okay, so you're now having that fourth breakout here, and it's likely going to share that same 10-point similarity that these other ones have had. 5%, 4%, 4%, 4%. We're looking for a 4% move. And yeah, if you're going to take it from here, 4% brings you all the way up to 262, just where you were at over here. Okay, that is Oracle, but those are really the tickers that I think if you want to focus on tomorrow into Friday, into next week, you're going to have a really good time. Specifically, I think QBTS, guys, we're going to be able to focus on over the coming weeks. I really think this thing is going to start heating up after what just happened. That is the second largest company in the world saying quantum is the next theme. All right, it's the next theme? Really? All right, so we're definitely going to be paying attention to them over the coming weeks. We've already kind of been pounding the table over here on them, and they were cooling off. But I'm telling you right now, I think they're about to start heating up. All right, I've been telling you guys they're going to cool off until they're not. All right, you break under 1754, it's probably not going to be going now. Break under 1678, at that point, that's pretty ugly. That's the weekly low, last week's low. But what happened? They saved the day on Microsoft earnings. Who would have thought? Started pumping this bad boy right up. So, QBTS and QUBT, I think those are the two tickers to pay attention to for quantum. And as far as the short-term trade idea, I think Hood is really going to perform tomorrow. All right. You want to know a specific strike? We're talking, depending where it wants to open up, I think 105C would probably be, if we see this thing at 104 tomorrow morning, those are probably going to be going for like 100 to 150 bucks. This thing is probably going to squeeze its way up to 110 to 113 tomorrow or Friday, but I think it's probably going to happen tomorrow. I think it would probably be a day like this. It's possible. We get the squeeze. The weekly chart does look like this is going to break out of this range, and then we're going to see this baby weekly candle expand. And if that happens, you get a 110, you get the cons for $1. There's your 5x right there. All right. So as far as trade ideas in the short term, I think you're going to have a good idea, good time focusing on Hood, focusing on Oracle, depending where it opens up tomorrow. Okay, so if Oracle doesn't open too high, if it opens up around 255, you could play it up to 260 to 262. All right, so have a good time in Oracle, good time on Hood. I think Oklo is going to have itself a really big day tomorrow, so you're probably going to have a good time focusing on that guy right there. All right, and then adding one more into the mix here, HIMS. All right, so main stack right now, QBTS for, as far as swings go. I like the 815.20C. I also like the 919.25C. All right, probably going to open, $1 to 120, I'm going to guess. Probably both of those. $1 to 150, I'm going to guess on both of those. Both are probably going to be going, obviously 815 is going to be moving better there. And it's going to be moving a lot more if this move happens in short term. But 919 is that safe expiration. Will really ride out that move, and you might be able to catch this thing to 30 bucks at that point and have a good time. And at that point, yeah, you're still going to be looking at that 4 to 5x gain if you catch that move. Maybe 5 to 6x. But I think some good things are going to happen. And then, HIMS over here in the short term, I'd say we probably caught the bulk of the move today. I think we did, but it's still possible that this thing goes above 67.37 tomorrow into Friday and does get above 73 bucks. And at that point, we know this thing's going to rip faces next week. And I think it would probably start before earnings, but if it pulls back before earnings, it's probably going to be bought up. And then at that point, we have like a lower wick going on the weekly candle that then expands up to, we're talking, 80 to 90 bucks. I think it's coming on HIMS. All right. But, with that being said, guys, I'm also going to show you guys a few more tickers right here. Reddit is reporting earnings tomorrow after the bell. It is getting a good move today. And it is above 153.20, guys. There is nothing until 164.55. Okay. So that is that. Toast to something that's not really performing right now. It is just going really slow at this point. I think it's going to pop above 49.56 tomorrow and probably just push 50, and I'm going to be out. And then MCD, guys, congrats. I'll hit the button for you. If anybody did end up taking it, I gave it to you coming into the week. I gave it to you yesterday. So I gave it to you for the break on the weekly update, 299 above 299.91. You're targeting 302.79. And then above 302.79, you have 305.12. So that's the move I gave you yesterday. I said it looked pretty clear as day to buy dips over here for that move up to 305.12. And then above 305.12, it could move up to 310.70. I think this thing might be starting a large reversal, but it does have earnings. And I think now if you end up playing that move, you had two beautiful moves that could have delivered those 100, 200% gains there on weeklies slash, you know, even if you wanted to play next Friday or 815 contracts, you caught quite a decent move there. I think it's best to leave it alone until post earnings, because I think earnings is probably going to be a nothing burger, and then we could play it, catch a trending move back up to all-time highs post earnings. So that's going to be a swing we can focus on over the coming weeks. All right, guys, but that's what I have for you guys. Again, if you want to come trade with me, you can use code HIMS for 50% off of your first month. Now that does apply to, you know, all the things. So if you want to lock in the lifetime, instead of $1,600, you can lock that in for $800. But I live stream every morning, and all these stocks that we are talking about, we are trading them every week, and you can get ahead of the market and always know what is going to be moving. All right, real talk, there are things moving every single week, different things that can deliver those 50 to 100% gains. And even if you're playing shares, I'm going to say you probably can be catching anywhere from 5 to 20% gains on multiple stocks here, because we focus on breakout setups, we focus on the things that are actually going to be moving. All right, and right now, guys, I shared right there, I shared most of the things that are probably going to be really hot into next week, into the end of the week and into next week. And really, guys, I'm telling you, Hood, that's a possible nice squeezer tomorrow morning to focus on. Oklo, probably also going to be a squeezer tomorrow. Oracle, you're targeting 260 to 262. If you can get around 254, 255, that's good in my book, okay? Ideally, it opens up to 252, 253, and it fades a little of this overnight move, and we get a better entry on there if that becomes the case. And then other than that, guys, you know, VST, it is another thing that I am going to be focused on over the coming weeks. I think this thing is probably going to have a monster move over the coming weeks, and it just now started. All right, with that being said, guys, I hope everybody has a lovely rest of your day. You could go check out the Twitter. The link is also going to be down below. I would appreciate the support over there. I will be posting the tickers that we talk about in these YouTube videos. I will be posting the detailed charts and the game plans on them over on Twitter almost every single day. I'm not going to post all of the charts, but I'm going to post, you know, the good ones we're talking about, as well as the indices every single day. So I would appreciate if you guys go and give that a look. I got value over there as well. All right. Other than that, guys, please just leave a like on the video. That's all I ask for. And with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.